Good morning, Elizabeth, the audacious coach. How are you doing?
Good morning, and how are you this morning?
We are doing great on this beautiful Wednesday, Heart and Habits, the last Wednesday of the month of May, as we'll be getting ready for the new month of June, where winter will be hyping us up. And on that note, Elizabeth, as you have been talking about the gaining clarity, before you can even get into it, please greet the listener this morning.
Good morning to our audacious listeners, and I'm hoping that today's chat will help you to wrap up the month with clarity so that you start the
Oh,
new month
yes.
with even greater clarity.
So what do you have for us when it comes to gaining clarity?
I would like for us today to talk about on how to manage day-to-day stress by thinking with clarity. You know, day-to-day stress can cause confusion, and when this happens, it is called having a brain fog where you can't think clearly, and because you can't think clearly, you can't speak confidently, and then of course, when you can't speak confidently, you definitely cannot live audaciously in your day-to-day life, right?
Oh,
So it
yes.
happens when your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, which disrupts your focus, memory, and logical thinking. So, stress and worry are a natural part of life. As much as we would love to, we can't run away from it. But thankfully, we can handle them in an effective way so that we can think with clarity and make decisions that are wise and that propel our lives for success. Firstly, what we can do is replace worrying with prayer. So instead of allowing anxiety to take over, pour your heart to God, admit your weaknesses to Him, admit your challenges that you're facing to Him, and allow His peace to guard your heart and your mind. And then, secondly, trust in God's provision. Accept that worrying about things out of your control is actually a waste of time. Either you're going to trust God to make a way, or if it's something that requires urgent attention, like immediately, you can, get a second or a third opinion from someone that you trust. Then you're able to receive that immediate help. But ultimately, you need to allow God to help you in expected ways through unexpected people, sometimes even using unexpected methods, but He definitely always comes through. But then when you're about to step into that meeting, when you are feeling so anxious because you've been worrying and stressing so much, and you've got pins and needles, in your hands and feet, and your body is shaking and you're almost sweating, and you can't even breathe properly, what can you do in those moments? Well, I do have practical tools for us that we can use. It's important for us to first understand that stress acts as the fuel that trigger anxiety. While stress is our body's reaction to an immediate external threat, for example, that work deadline or that work presentation, right? Anxiety is the internal, lingering aftermath after the cause of stress has already taken place. So when you're experiencing stress, it alters your brain chemistry, your nervous system, and directly intensifies anxiety. So through specific psychological and physical mechanisms, right?
Yes.
So we're going to look at how to manage that anxiety once you've experienced that intense feeling of stress, and you urgently need to regroup yourself so that you can regain your focus again, so that you can continue with your work in front of you or whatever task that you have in front of you. The first thing that you can do is box breathing. With box breathing, you're basically imagining a square in front of you in your mind, and as you can see, a square has four sides. You will inhale for 4 seconds, hold for another 4 seconds, exhale for another 4 seconds, hold for another 4 seconds, and you just need to repeat this 5 times. As you're conscious of your breathing, you will slowly start to feel that tension in your body, wanting to clench your fist, wanting to, flight or freeze or fight mode. You'll start to feel your body to relax and come back to its normal, relaxed state. And the second thing that you can do later in the day when you get home is called brain dumping. Basically, what you're doing is you're writing down every single thought, task, and worry on paper to clear the mental clutter in your brain. And
Yes.
once you've put things on paper, the stuff that is stressing you is no longer lingering at the back of your mind. You've basically put it in your frontal cortex of your brain, where now you're conscious of it and you're actually able to start thinking clearly in terms of what action can you take to resolve them, right? Versus
Yes.
if it's lingering at the back of your head, it's just weighing you down and it's just bugging you, nudging you, but you're actually not doing anything about it. Another practical thing that you can do would be the 5 4 3 2 1 method. When you feel that stress, when you feel that anxiety, the first thing you can do is literally name 5 things that you see, 4 things that you feel, 3 things that you hear, 2 things that you smell, and 1 thing that you taste. This is called grounding. You're basically grounding yourself in the moment, in the present. Because with stress and anxiety, you're constantly in your brain, future pacing, going ahead of yourself and
Oh,
thinking about
yes.
things that haven't even happened yet. And because you're so much in the future in your mind, your body starts reacting and you're experiencing all this tension and the stress in your body. But now you need to ground yourself so you come back to the present and say, okay, the future hasn't happened yet, but what is in front of me right now? What is it with my control right now? What can I focus on right now? And then once you start refocusing yourself in the present, using the 5 4 3 2 1 method, then you're able to be a lot calmer, think clearly, and then you're able to make wise decisions. Another practical tool that we can do to manage our day-to-day stress would be to compartmentalize according to the order of priority. Divide your tasks into a 4 category. The first category would be the things that are urgent and important. And the second category would be the things that are not important, the things that are important but they're not urgent. Sorry about that. And the third category would be the things that are urgent and not important. And then the last category is neither important and neither urgent. So this you can still do in December when you take your 2 weeks leave from work.
Oh, yeah.
There's no pressure. Like you've been wanting to clean your garage, you can get to it. Don't clean your garage when you need to prepare for your presentation for work. That's called procrastination.
Uh-huh.
And avoidance. So it is very important to just have those 4 methods in place for when you are in that immediate space where you need to have mental clarity and make quick decisions on your feet. But later on in the day, get back in your quiet time, do pray, do write your thoughts down so that you're able to manage and avoid piling up things, because I think what gets us into a lot of trouble is waiting until the mountain is so high in front of us. Now you're like, what am I going to do?
Oh,
But if you can
yes.
manage it daily, day to day, bit by bit, you find that actually you're able to manage your day-to-day stresses more effectively without even needing to get onto things like anxiety medication and the likes. But of course, if your doctor does advise you to take anxiety medication and etc., it is important to listen and do adhere to your doctor's recommendations. But those are some practical tools for you to implement in your day to day so that you're able to cope well with the demands and the pressures of life.
Sure, what a way to actually complete our month of May on lifestyle segment this morning on the Talk Reloaded, gaining clarity. Imagine, immediately you're talking about breathing. I found myself breathing here in studio.
Well done. Amazing. I breathe all the time, literally.
Because immediately I hear breathe. Okay, hold. I'm like, okay, let me just try to do this. Because that
I'm
is so.
actually
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually so glad, sorry about that. I'm actually so glad you said that. There was a time in my life when I used to have such an intense amount of stress, and
Yeah.
the doctor was like, "We need to put you on anxiety medications." I'm like, "No ways." And I just researched on it, and I started doing breathing exercises. I've never needed to take medication ever,
Oh, that is a
ever.
beautiful one, eh?
So breathing is so important, actually. It is so important.
And honestly, listener, as well as you're talking on this, you don't realize that when you do breathing exercises at the moment and at that time, you find that even your mind becomes so clear and you don't take them seriously, the breathing exercises, honestly, because you're like, I'm breathing, then what? Because before I was like that, I'm breathing, then what? But you realize that when you breathe, even your mind becomes so clear because you are focusing on the breathing instead of focusing on what's happening literally in your mind. So audacious coach Elizabeth, thank you so much this morning for giving us,